welcome. My name is Cece Treadway, and I'm really excited to be with you here today during this incredibly catalytic time, this time full of so much change, and this time that's filling us with so much fortitude. So today we're going to be talking about the January energies, a little bit of 2021 AD. I'm still calling it that. And so we come to you today full of love and full of wonder for this task that you have before you as a collective. And all of this, all of what you are going through, is so that you may learn to come together, so that you may learn to find and experience your differences and see them as your own self, so that you may find yourself again and again in the other, whether it is love, whether it is anger, whether it is abuse, whether it is grief, whether it is joy, that you continually find yourself within each other again and again. We hope that you find yourselves comfortable today. We hope that you find yourselves resting into your own skin in a new way, and that the years that have preceded this time have prepared you to walk forward with power and with sovereignty. We know there are many concerns with your health these days, with how your health is being handled these days. We'd like to offer an alternate perspective that perhaps opens the inner eye to the bigger picture of your sovereignty. So taking some deep breaths now to sink deeply into the body. For the body, within the soul, there is all of the information that you need. All of the information that you need to understand outside of you lives inside of you. And almost as if the inside of you opened to the universe herself. And so we ask you to come forward in this moment in your humility, in your servitude towards not that which you perceive to control you, but that which lives within you, the light that lives within you, that commands you with confidence, esteem, and power. To forfeit your nature, in a sense, into this living, breathing, spiritual entity within you. Well, this sets the tone for how everything will go. How everything will go. The greatest message we could deliver to you this month would be to practice each day into surrendering your ideas, your thoughts, your have-tos into this larger being within you that is so completely in love with all that is, and so completely in trust with all that needs to be. The channel is asking for specific messages because she's not yet surrendered herself into this light within. So let's take a moment. What if you did bring all of you forward within? What if you decided to step back from whatever agenda you feel is so important and let the light within bathe you? This is January. It is the time of inception in the wheel of the year. It is the time to be with God Source, as much as you can. God's source is supplying you with so much energy that begins to fuel you for the year. It begins to open to the template that is coming forth and that will continue to move through the dimensions as the year incarnates, as the seasons change. So this is the season of inception and of purity and of clarity. And then we move into the season of birth and planting. Then we move into the season of growing. And then we move into the season of harvesting. And then we prepare again for the cold. And then we move into the season of the shadow of the dying. And each year you are brought through these cycles. And so if you are working with these cycles, you know it is the time to fill up. It is the time to receive. It is the time to be quiet, to go within and to find this truth within you over and over again. In the same way that the media would have you blasted with a similar message day after day after day, to work with your human brain, to let it come into submission with it. This is what we ask you to bring your divine self into repetition, especially for this time, that we ask that these energies within expand to open to the divine self all around, the divine self pouring through the veils. During shadow season, we cleanse, we purge, we allow in some ways the shadow that lives within us to magnify so that we can cleanse it out, so we can let it die. And when it dies, it returns to source and begins to flow down to us as something new. So there's a new opportunity. There's a new opportunity, and it's an inception period. It is the period where new life is just at its very, very beginning, and all that you're receiving can be quite subconscious. So you might not know exactly what's coming through, but if you open up to the energies, you start to feel that your spirit is like trying to have its way with you. And so you begin to shed the identity of the past. You begin to lose the attachment to what you had formed so clearly. If you allowed it to die in the fall, then what happens in the winter is more of like shedding layers very easily. They kind of just fall. They just fall off. And every time a layer sheds, your spirit and the divine core expands into it, and you're allowed a rebirth. Oftentimes I would teach a course called Divine Blueprint in the early winter in January, because it was that time to receive the new energies. Also want to share that the way that I work often is that I go into the channel and then I go into me. I go into the channel and I go more 3D. It's just kind of a back and forth dance. That's how I like to do it, because I'm like, well, I have something to say. This is how we work. And then we merge, we become one. It's all in this I am space. We all come forward in this time. And so we're being asked right now, are you making the space? Are we making the space for the divine to pour through? For the blueprint for the year to be nurtured, given room, to be in its abstract form, Are you allowing that flow of energy that's coming through to just be free and to begin to arrange itself? Sometimes we can arrange in colors or sounds or movement, or if you're more left brain, then maybe it comes in as lists or plans, or the blueprints. Maybe it comes in that way. So however it does, but it's the time of not judging what comes forth. It's that time of not judging. Because this new you wants to incarnate. It wants to come forth. It wants to be new. It doesn't really want to refer to what you were before. It doesn't really want that. It wants to know itself brand new. And when the time comes to integrate your former self, you will know that. You will take those pieces as you grow, as you birth and grow. But right now it wants to be new, and it doesn't want to be put in a box. It wants to just express itself. So that's a lot of this time. And then as far as like, how does that work with what we're all going through right now? I mean, I don't know about you, but I never thought life would look like this right now. I really thought in 2021 that we'd be far more advanced than we are. I really thought like the flying cars would be here and they'd all run on like our personal connection to source. And I didn't think we'd still be making pollution and doing all the things that we're doing and being in such a grind for things to be better. I would have never thought we would have to push against so much resistance to allow a sustainable world, or a world that's more filled with light and love and all that stuff. I didn't know we have to push so hard against a force that like doesn't want it to happen. But that's what's happening. That is actually how it works here right now. The dualistic energies are strong. They're strong, and so we use it. Of course, when we're younger, we don't necessarily know that, right? You live a bunch of life and you realize like, okay, we're always working like, in my training, we'd call it with the expansion, the contraction, and then the stasis, which is the integration period of yay, and then oh, and then oh, kind of works like that. So we realize we're, it's just not quite how I had imagined 2021 to be when I was probably a teen, right? Or in my early 20s, just wondering like, or just dreaming about the future, how it was going to be, the new earth coming in. Well, the new earth is coming in, but it's coming in with so much like primal unleashing of darkness. And that will continue. That will continue this year. But you know what's happened? So we've just got a lot better at dealing with it. We've just gotten strong. We've gotten more agile. We've gotten, well, we've been humbled. We've strengthened. We've probably all broken and put ourselves back together a bunch of times. And we've screamed. We've had our voices heard. We've had them ignored. We've all been ridiculed for our point of view. It's been like almost like being on a playground with no supervision when the kids start getting really mean to each other, ganging up on each other. And then like, it's terrible. And then, I don't know, maybe we just start running and just working the energy. And so we're in that period, I think, especially as Mars has really gone full direct and out of its shadow period, where we're like, I think we're running. It's been a lot of energy retrograding for like a full year. Everything was retrograding with all the planets, and then kind of one by one they unretrograded. They started moving direct, and Mars was the longest retrograde ever, all through the fall. And it's just kind of coming into its forward movement. And then it's going to conjunct with Uranus, which is like the planet of revolution and sudden changes, and it's unpredictable. And it's not really like a calm, peaceful Venusian energy. It's like, it's gonna get you. So like there's nowhere to go when Uranus decides to like do its thing. There's nowhere to go. And so conjoined with Mars, like I'm just curious to see how it's going to be. That's somewhere in the middle of this month. I can't remember the date, but I mean, if you're in the United States, you know, we're still in this crazy political situation, and just kind of holding space for how it's going to be. One thing the guides continually tell me and reminded me before I started in with this peculiar video is that you know, the whoever's in charge is a reflection or is a projection of the consciousness of the collective. And so in some ways it doesn't matter who's at the helm, because it's the energy of the collective that's really moving things forward anyway. It's not like one person has all that power. We all are carrying all this energy. We have so much energy as human beings. We have so much. We're like these light bulbs, but like really, really powerful light bulbs that go off. And it's not about who's in charge. We don't want to give your power away to one person or one party or anything like that. We know that what's brewing consciously and subconsciously is what is creating this situation. And so we'll see where we are during inauguration day. I have my own opinions, but I'm not here to give opinions. I'm here to read energies. So I do feel a firm anchoring into the middle path. I do feel that is the strongest energy. It's actually stronger than the it's stronger than emotional reactions. This pillar, or we might the har line, I call it, or we call it in my training also at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. By the way, that's a lot of my training that I'll refer to, Brennan Healing Science. But at any rate, this pillar inside like just anchors to the earth, and that pillar can't really anchor until you're able to fully be with everything, until it like cuts through the emotion, it cuts through the aura, it cuts through all the noise and just anchors a pillar of truth. And that truth isn't rooted in opinion. It's rooted in the resolution of duality, which is how one is able to master the human plane. You master duality. When you are able to master duality, which I'm still in the process, then you can anchor this pillar of knowing. It's a pillar of knowing. It's effortless. And so that pillar, there's more people holding it than you think. Those people don't make the most noise, but they have the most presence. And there's been a lot of them coming up. And a lot of them, as I mentioned in the last video, sort of sitting back and assessing what's happening and where is the entryway for the mature voice. And so as we allow our spirit to fill the body, to connect to its pure source, or the higher self, through the body, and it starts to almost like tune out the noise of the emotions and tune out the noise of the my way, oh my god, tunes that out. And then the pillar, the hara, the anchor, begins to drop. Can begin to drop right down. And that's like when the parent gets back on the playground and they hold that presence that feels so safe. And also it's a strong authority. And the kids know, whoopsie, whoop, Oh, yeah, all right, they just chill out. Now you're probably thinking, does she have children? No, but I have babysat a lot. So I understand how a shift in energy can completely change the environment when people feel safe. And so right now, we know people don't feel safe. That's why they're freaking out so bad. There is, underneath that, all of this action, all of this emotion, there's a rumble here on the primal level of fear, of lack of trust. It's like this low-grade earthquake that continues to have people anxious and have people behaving like they're in fight or flight. So we drop the anchor, we drop the pillar. We allow that wisest part of ourselves to continuously incarnate and take the reins. You see, this is how the new earth is built. This is how we take it from a dream that's up here until landing and anchoring into the points and into the grids of the earth. This is how she's able to welcome these energies and say, okay, well, there's enough humans here who are ready to move forward into stability, who have, through the earthquake, through this low rumble of fear, learned how to drop beneath it and allow their wisest self, their divine self, to incarnate, to move them, and to fill them with the feeling of trust and safety. And so you will need this anchor, as this year has a lot of ups and downs. It has a lot of forceful energy that is designed to move things forward quickly, but it requires maintaining this anchor, because you will also be asked to let go of things very quickly. And that could manifest in many ways. Could simply be ideologies and beliefs, or it could be things that are physical. It could be relational. You're not here right now. If you're doing this work, you're not here necessarily to arrive at a point. You're in a transition. We are learning how to be steady in the constant transition, and to trust that what comes to you and what leaves you is what is needed for you to be able to learn and grow and move and let go, and learn and grow and move and let go, so that you can continue to incarnate this divine energy. It's perfect for what you need. It's perfect also for how there's like this moving chessboard, this moving orchestration of how people come together to experience those things and to learn and grow from each other. And sometimes that journey means you're journeying together for a long time, and other times it means a very short time, and anything in between. And so this year is going to ask a lot of you as far as learning how to change quickly, but change in strength. In other words, you're going to be surprised, but then know that that surprise is like the norm. That you were supposed to be surprised. There was no other way but to be surprised. So we let that surprise be a part of our regular routine. There will be times this year where we get to build, and there will be times where we let it all go, but it's never gone. Nothing's ever gone. Nothing's ever really gone, because we're able to pick it up when it's needed again. We're not really building so linearly anymore. Linear building still exists, but so does this other spaciousness, this other building, because we've become so multidimensional, and dimensions 4 and 5 are not in linear time. So one last thing, I have no idea how long I'm going to keep going. People want to get to the 5th dimension. People want to transcend the 3rd dimension, and we just want to say that the 3rd dimension is really, really cool. and everything already exists. 4th and 5th and 6th, 7th dimensionally, it already exists. It's already working together with you. It's already weaving itself in a perfect blanket. And so as a 3rd dimensional being, we're not becoming 5th dimensional beings. We are allowing a multidimensional experience, and this is definitely testing the limits of our 3rd dimensional bodies and minds. This is definitely making us shed old ways very quickly. And you know this is not new news. This has been going on for anybody who's been allowing this process to unfold. And I always say it's like becoming the Incredible Hulk, but maybe like a good Incredible Hulk. I mean, not so split, like I'm a good human self and then I have to, rip all my clothes and become this giant, like, violent thing. Maybe that is what's happening, actually. but when we shed, and when we allow our spirit to come in and incarnate more, it's like it can be really uncomfortable. We can like totally rip our clothes. We need a new wardrobe, that's for sure. So, but honestly, actually, that's like what's happening in the world. It's like everyone's rage and, the shadow rage has been coming out so much. I'm in Miami right now. I'm generally in New York. And Miami and the waters and the air, it changes me a lot. It allows for a softness and a letting go of holding that I truly enjoy, even though, interestingly enough, when I'm in New York, I'm in the woods. And when I'm in Miami, I'm generally in the city. And the city's been very comforting right now. I am really enjoying hearing people around me because I almost don't hear anything where I am. And also because I don't know. That's how it is right now. And on New Year's, I was in Miami. And most of you understand that Florida is not necessarily following protocol. I mean, it is just wild here. And on New Year's, I have never, in all the years I've spent in Miami, and Miami's my second home, my family lives here, so I'm here a lot. I have never heard the city scream for so long as I did on New Year's. People were screaming, just whooping it up until 4, 5 in the morning, just going for it, just releasing. I always say that Florida is like the penis of the United States, and like it's it's like the pressure builds and then there's this big orgasm. Well, on New Year's in Miami, Florida, you can just thank the Floridians and whoever was here visiting, because it was like the biggest ejaculation I've ever heard. And I think that was planetary service. I think all of the pent up energy was released in Miami. Like, my neighbors were partying like I've just never heard people party, like, or well, in a long time. I mean, just screaming, dancing, getting drunker, drunker all night long. So I just put in my earplugs, but I wasn't upset because I was just like, you know what? People need this. People need to blow off steam. Like, oh man. So on that note, another thing about January is that we need times to release. We need healthy ways to release. And so when you're trapped in quarantine or sheltering in, like, you can't do that in the same way, but find a way to move that energy. Jump up and down, release the voice, go into your yard, dance around, join dance things on Zoom. Do what you gotta do, because wow, did we all feel better the next day? So much better. All right. I hope you got something out of this. I really care about us. And I'm really interested in us. I'm really curious. And I'm really always finding ways that I can, as they said in the beginning, see myself and others and see them within me. And then to do what I need to do to learn how to love and accept that. Love and accept the crazy limitations that we live with in the physical dimension and duality on Earth. It's like a wondrous thing. It's a wondrous thing. So have a beautiful week, 2 weeks, life. If this is the only time you ever watch, if you made it this far. I will add also that I have a monthly membership group called Creation Activation. You can follow the links below. And we get together 3 times a month. I channel. We have time for you to channel and you to talk to your guidance. And we also have time for creativity and to really support your creative direction in life. To me, it's all about creativity all the time. And that's my greatest joy, to create things and to be with others as they create. So that's what we do. I also have a free Learning to Channel e-course that you can sign up for. So just follow the links below. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. And I love you so much.